I feel the Spirit moving in me. I feel the Spirit moving in
me. Good morning. Welcome to Unity Church of Maui. How are you doing today? Good. Okay, we'll get our sound thing together. My video person is also... Oh, is our sound working? Testing, 1, 2. Testing, 1, 2. Okay. Well, here we are. Welcome to Unity. It's nice to have you here this morning. It's nice to be alive and in our building for the second or third time in recent history. And thank you for wearing masks today. We do ask that you keep your mask on over your nose and below your chin for our entire service, because we want everybody to be safe. And in the midst of who knows what the truth is around all that, we are erring on the side of being safe. And if you need to breathe, if you notice your breath starts getting short, you might pass out, feel free to step outside to take your mask off and take some deep breaths if that's necessary. Feel free to go right through here to go to the restroom. Let's see, I think everything is good. Why don't we take a breath together? And I invite you to close your eyes and let's join together in prayer. Breathing in and breathing out. Letting go of any thoughts or feelings that might keep us from being present in this moment. We acknowledge the presence of Spirit right here, of the divine mind of God. Spirit goes by many names. And today we celebrate that connection with Spirit. And today we come together to celebrate our dear friend, our teacher, our minister, Reverend Mary Omwake. And we know that her presence is right here in the midst of us. She lives through the teachings that she taught, through the love that she shared. She lives in our minds, in our thoughts. And Mary, wherever you are, we are so grateful for you, for touching each of our lives in so many meaningful ways. And we give thanks for you and know that we are well, we are happy, and we are alive, awake, enthusiastic with joy to celebrate you, your life, your presence, your spirit, and your soul this morning. And we give thanks, and so it is. Namaste. And we always like to have an affirmation on Sunday morning to kind of help us to remember the truth of who we are and connect us with this moment. And our affirmation for today is, I live and act in the awareness of God's presence within me. And we'll say it with energy and enthusiasm, but not enough so that we our masks launch off into the atmosphere. So let's say this together. I live and act in the awareness of God's presence within me. And feel that presence. Breathe into that presence. Thank you, loving Spirit. Well, I thought we'd start off today with Unity Worldwide Ministries CEO, Jim Blake, sharing tribute to Reverend Mary.
Hello, friends. It's Jim Blake at Unity Village. I'm so honored to be asked to pay tribute to Reverend Mary Omwake. I think what I remember most is her kindness She seemed to exude kindness in every interaction that I ever saw. Second, and most moving for me personally, is I would see her occasionally at convention and we'd have coffee. But in between times, she would call me just to encourage me or share how thrilled she was with something that Unity was doing, or affirm for me that I was the right person for this role as CEO, especially when it was new. She never asked me for anything. She simply offered support in conversation or the blessing of a voicemail. She was like my own personal angel, showing up to remind me that I was okay and that Unity was doing good things in the world. I also admired her success as a minister. She seemed to have a gift for growing churches, assembling great teams, and delivering powerful and uplifting Sunday services. And of course, the music always rocked the house. And her talks were so eloquent and inspiring. She was a star on the platform. But what I'll remember most is the light she was when it was just one-on-one. I am forever grateful for her kindness, for her support, and for the sheer gift she was to our movement and this planet. We bless you and we thank you, Reverend Mary. You will be truly missed.
And our next video tribute is somebody that you know very well, and this is Reverend Michael Beckwith.
You think about Mary Omwake, you think about, obviously, compassion, you think about love, you consider the Christ consciousness and the Christ loving ethic that she exuded with that beautiful smile and in the way that she approached everything from that particular dynamic. What we want to do on this particular day is not only celebrate her, but people of increasing faith, we never ask the question, what is the meaning of someone passing? I like to always invite people to ask the question, how can we give her life meaning rather than what is the meaning? And we think about love, compassion, and Christ. We take that meaning and we add it to our daily activity. How can I make sure that Mary is still alive within me? I'm going to act from the Christ consciousness as best as I can. I'm going to act from a sense of compassion as best as I can. I'm going to act from a sense of love as best as I can. And in that way, we not only remember her physicality, but we keep her alive energetically within our own heart, because she's alive. All of us already know that. She is alive. So we bless her in her ascension. We bless her family with a dynamic peace of mind that passes human understanding. And we bless the entire New Thought Ageless Wisdom community with a deep sense of peace, as one who has loved so deeply has now gone into the invisible realm. Have a bright day. Let's celebrate Mary.
Well, I want to thank all of you for being here for Mary this morning, and really for each other, to support each other in this challenging time for many of us as we move into new experiences of life. And I know that there's great value in being together and celebrating with each other. And it's very powerful and healing to participate and reflect on someone's life when they pass, because it helps us on our own spiritual path to accept, to let go, and to remember, and to be inspired. Reverend Mary passed beyond our sight on April 14th. And among Mary's many accomplishments, she served as a senior leader to 3 thriving Unity Ministers: Unity Church of Overland Park, Kansas, Unity Church of Maui, and lastly, Unity in Lynnwood, Washington. She was a founding member of the Association of New Thought, and she and her beloved colleagues gave rise to such sweeping works as synthesis dialogues. I thought I had a picture of that here. With His Holiness the Dalai Lama. She was the recipient of Unity's Expressing the Light of God Award which is right here. And you really need to take a look at this if you haven't seen it. It's very beautiful. And she also was a peace hero awarded in 2002 by the Gandhi and King Season of Peace and Nonviolence. And that was given to her on April 4th, 2002, I believe. And I think perhaps her most significant thing, beyond the plaques and the awards that she got, was the way that she touched so many people's lives. She didn't tread lightly on truth. Do you remember? She didn't just offer us a bunch of platitudes and spiritual sayings, but she challenged us to look deeper into our soul, to move past the challenges in our lives, and to really look at the things that show up in our personality that we can transform through spiritual practice. And Mary hung out with some pretty amazing teachers. Ram Dass, Wayne Dyer, Gary Zukav, the Dalai Lama. Mary was not in this life to live small. Mary brought the light and touched the light everywhere that she was. And she really dedicated her life to serving, didn't she? Don't she just know that? That was such a big part of who she was, that she was totally dedicated to serving God, to serving Spirit, and to helping people transform their lives. Mary supported me since the moment I got here 9 years ago, a little over 9 years ago. And she would call me. Interestingly, when Jim Blake was referring to this, she called him. She also called me and encouraged me and told me that I was the perfect minister for this church. And she always had something inspirational to say, to tell me, and that she always said that I was in her prayers, and this ministry that she loved so much was in her prayers. And she gave me encouragement when there were difficult things that were happening in my life or in this ministry. Mary taught many powerful teachings. And the one thing that I remember the most that because I've known her for years, I watched her for years, and one teaching that really resonated with me was that you get what you bring, right? It's like however you show up is going to be how you are going to experience your reality right now. It's all about consciousness. So the level of consciousness where you are, what you bring to this moment will determine how life shows up for you. Mary Omwake. I never really thought about that. The sound of Om and waking up. Mary Omwake. Mary taught us that now is the time to wake up. Mary, I'm eternally grateful to you and to all that your spirit and your humanness brought to this planet. And thank you for sharing your love and your light with me. So Mary, aloha. And now I'd like to hand the center stage over to Kurt.
Talking about Mary Omwake and how she changed lives. Someone said that earlier. She sure changed mine. Speaking of April, this April I've been here at Unity for 19 years because of Mary Omwake. I didn't come here as music director. I came here as part of the music team and ended up here. And Mary said that, yeah, you can do it. Go ahead and do it. So I've been here all this time. The last time I saw Mary was maybe 2 years ago, standing right here. She looked fine. We had a great conversation. And everything was just looking good. Apocatastasis, going great, that kind of thing. Now I want to go back to those 19 years ago. Many, many years ago. I don't remember how many it was, but everybody on the internet started doing this thing called the cloud, where they would put things in the cloud and you would store stuff in the cloud. And it was new to us then. And there's a service called Dropbox, where for free you could store things and then get them later whenever you wanted. And so I would put some songs there, things like that, just to store them. But I never really used it much. And after a few years, they offered a service where you not only could store stuff, but you could store stuff in other people's Dropbox, and they can put stuff in your Dropbox and leave you messages and all that kind of stuff. Well, it was a good 10, 12 years that I tried it out, had an account, and never, ever, ever, ever touched that account again. I never went back to Dropbox again, for whatever reasons. I didn't need it or whatever. And maybe a month ago, it was just after Mary passed, actually, and I had been told that she did. I was sitting at my computer, and I saw the little thing for Dropbox, and I thought, I haven't been in Dropbox for 15 years or whatever. And I go into my Dropbox account, and there's a message from Mary. I cried. I couldn't believe it. There it was. And what it was, and I'll do the song later, she had a request for a song for me to learn and do. Of course. Well, Mary, using the service the way it's supposed to be used. And Mary, I'm sorry I didn't do it 15 years ago, but I'll do it today. That's my Mary story. Thanks,
Okay.
Dr. Virgie Pandora. Yeah.
Okay. Aloha. I was board president when we did a search for minister after Judy Grimes left. And I remember when she first arrived, she asked me where could she buy a muumuu. And it was Liberty House at the time. She wore a muumuu to her first service. And she introduced herself as Reverend Mary Omwake. Call me Mary. And it was a good thing because everybody was calling her Mary Omwake, the Hawaiian minister. Well, she ditched the muumuu, and she, of course, Omwake is not her name, but she did love to do one very Hawaiian local thing, was kick off her shoes while she was doing service, and that was so cute. It was her idea, when she came, we were still renovating this building, and it was her idea to put in this extension. And it was a good thing too, because otherwise we'd have only this part of our church. She began to draw large crowds, and we could no longer fit everybody in this church. And so I remember meeting at the Tropical Plantation. It was so gorgeous, and up to 300 people would come, and we'd have brunch afterwards. And I remember our hula halau dancing many, many, many weeks. So I remember that very, very fondly. And we had a food drive, and she noticed that there were rusted cans and dented cans in the barrel. And she kind of gave us an admonishment. Don't give the worst, give the best. And that always stuck with me. It just always stuck with me. Give until you can't give anymore, and give only the best. When my mother had a stroke, I think more than a dozen years ago now, I called Reverend Mary, and she came right over to the hospital, and she sat with us overnight. I'm gonna cry. She just sat with us and prayed with us. And she said, "Your mother must be very extraordinary to have raised extraordinary daughters like you." She christened my grandson, Mateo. But the story that is my favorite to tell about Mary is that she recommended an Alan Cohen workshop. And Alan Cohen had to sit in silence. It must have been for at least 30 minutes. And he said, just listen. And I listened, and I got the message, dance for the Dalai Lama. I thought, this is really weird, dance hula for the Dalai Lama. So I told Mary about it, and she didn't poo-poo it like, other people might have. And about a month later, the Association for New Thought planned a trip to Italy. Mary told me about it. It was a conference to hear the Dalai Lama. And because she knew of the message I had received in Alan Cohen's workshop, she wrote to the Dalai Lama's organization to ask permission for me to dance. She wrote 3 times. She didn't give up. And the first time they said that hula is too sensuous. It's too sexy. The second time they said there's no time on the program. And the third time they said it was inappropriate. And so we were in Italy, and before going to the conference, I asked Mary, should I wear my muumuu and bring my lei? And she said, of course. You never know when the angels will come through. And at the conference, Ricky Byers Beckwith played Amazing Grace. And Ricky asked, does anyone here at the conference know Amazing Grace in another language? And persons came forward, and they sang Amazing Grace in Spanish, and they sang Amazing Grace in Chinese. And I knew that hula is the language. And so I went up on stage, and I danced hula for His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Thank you, Mary, for the experience of a lifetime, and for being such an extraordinary teacher and friend. I love you and miss you.
So yes, of course, shoes off. Last time we were here was for your grandson's christening. Mary was on stage, and that is the right place. She's on stage. I think so many things about Mary as her Hanai son, but, and I said this on Facebook shortly after she passed, she was a spiritual comedian, and she brought laughter and joy. She didn't like that designation, but we all know that she warmed our hearts and made us laugh and smile and joy. And so this very much needs to be that essence, because that's what she was. For that is who she is. I met her first as a minister, but shortly I got enmeshed with her. I did a radio show for years, a weekly show on KAOI with her. I became a member of the board of directors here at Unity. That radio show is one of the first podcasts. It's still out there. You can listen to some pretty amazing interviews that we did with people like Ram Dass and Deepak Chopra and just amazing members of the community. It's on the website is conversationswithfriends.com. As Mary and I got closer together, we basically formed a Hanai relationship. And she became my Hanai mom. I didn't have a very good mom, but I had a very, very good Hanai mom. She said that, well, she knew what I really wanted was a wife. And so she will take credit to this day to helping to pray in my wife, Molly. And at that point, Mary had left Unity on Maui. She went to Thailand for an experience. Of course, she came back for our wedding on Lanai. When we were planning the wedding, she said, what is the vibe you want? And we said the most important thing was stress-free. And she helped to make it amazingly stress-free. And we had chosen a day to get married that was astrologically correct, because that's what you do. And it had to be, it had to be between a certain hour of the day, and she brought, and Mary was not necessarily great at time, right? So she brought 2 or 3 stopwatches and clocks to make sure that we said, I do, at the very moment that was the most propitious. She brought a harpist from Maui over to Lanai. We were doing this on the beach. It was an extraordinary event. The harpist reminded me of angels, which of course reminds me of Mary now, because she is definitely my angel and she's with all of us now, and we just know that. One of the rules that we established as a family was, because we were basically upgrading our family, we joked about it, we were upgrading our family, as we would have probably the most serious rule that was the foundation, was that we would always speak our truth and no obligations. As you said, no is a full, complete sentence. None of this guilt that, some families do. And our family grew as not only Molly joined it, but as Mary's relationship got stronger and stronger with Ram Dass and with Dasima. And then one day we had this beautiful dinner at Mary's house. I was the cook. I was always the designated cook at Mary's apartment, and Ram Dass effectively married us into this little family unit, and it was a very beautiful experience for Mary and for myself and for Molly, and we have some great pictures of that. And it also began this tradition of getting together for intimate meals on her birthday and other times, which of course I cooked. But it was really fun, and it gave us an opportunity to be with magnificent people, sharing food and joy and inculcating the spirituality that she had in everything she did in the public eye, but getting to know her in this way and brought this as part of the family. It was an extraordinary thing. And that's my experience of her as a mom. I think I would be remiss to be up on this stage and not to talk about her as a minister. And you said the word earlier, Kurt, apokatastasis. When I think of all the amazing sermons she gave, the one that resonates the most is her story about apokatastasis, which she learned from her teacher, Jack Boland. And it's basically that message of, whenever it looks bad, don't worry, something wonderful is happening. And I know that is so true even with her passing and moving from a physical space here to being everywhere. We would talk over the last several months, and in late January, around her birthday, which is shared with my father's birthday, she would say in January and February and March, she would sort of say something to me I didn't really get, but it had the word Pentecost in it. And Pentecost is really, really significant. And it is, I am not a Christian theologian, but obviously it is often attributed as the recognition of the beginning of the Christian church, because it's when the Holy Spirit rose. And it is 50 days after Easter. Does anyone know what today is? It's Pentecost. Today is Pentecost, and PK knows. And I mean, you feel it, and I feel it right here. Thank you. I am burning inside right now. She said that she would make her essence known on Pentecost. So here we are. When she passed, PK did the most extraordinary job you could ever imagine, trying to sort through. She was a pack rat, okay? I mean, she collected a lot of really nice and things from all over the world. And there was a lot of stuff. Sorry, Mary, you got it. She's like smiling. Okay, so, but PK said, what really mattered to you? And I said, well, I think one of the things that I would love to have is her Bible. So you guys have seen this Bible, because this is the Bible that was here. And there were two, of course, because, and so PK said, well, which one do you want? And I chose this one because it just like grabbed out, it just like, oh, this is the right one. And then inside of it, there are some pages, a lot of bookmarks. She was actually an incredibly studious theologian. I think it's really worth noting that while she was funny, she had her understanding of unity consciousness and Christianity deeply embedded with her, and she learned a lot over the years, especially in her later years from Ram Dass, about other religions, and she really did a great job of being trans-denominational. But anyway, inside this Bible is a yellow sheet of paper in her handwriting, and it's from our wedding, Molly and James's wedding. These are her notes from when she married us. Mary, you are still very much with us all, and we love you, and the world is such a better place for you, having been with us. And as Michael Beckwith said, how can we continue to live in honor her presence the way she honored ours? I love you, Mary.
All right, I invite you to close your eyes. And let's bring our attention to our breath. Breathing in and breathing out. Connecting with that one presence, with that one power that's within all of us. The power of love, the power of truth that transcends everything. And I invite you to imagine that you can bring your center and your breath into your heart. Breathing in, breathing out. And imagine and remember something that Mary taught or said that resonates with you. And just pick one truth, one idea. And as you breathe in, to let this truth settle into your heart, into the space of love at the center of your being. And go into the feeling of this truth. And breathing into it. Feeling how it is in your body, how it is in your mind. And what is it about this truth that calls to you? What is it in you that can be acted upon as this truth? And let's take just a few moments in the silence to relax and to hold gently this truth. Perhaps in this moment or in the days to come, thoughts and ideas will come to you about what you can do with this truth. How can this truth that Mary taught live in you and continue her consciousness in the world? Breathe into this possibility. Knowing that this truth is moving in and through and as you, as an expression of Mary, as a way that she experiences eternal life through you, through us, as we embrace and embody the truth that she taught. Breathing in and breathing out. Seeing ourselves stepping lightly, freely into the plane of life. And I invite you to begin to bring your awareness back to this moment. As you breathe, as you love, giving thanks for our dear friend, our teacher, our mother, our reflection. And I invite you to open your eyes when you're ready. I'd like to invite you at this time to prepare your love offerings. Mary wouldn't want us to forget to give people the opportunity to give. And so thank you for giving today. You'll find an envelope in and around your seat somewhere, and you can put your donation in the envelope and then just leave it on the chair as you leave or on the floor. And thank you in advance for your gifts. Your love and your gifts are the energy that give us so much ability to continue doing what we do, and we are so blessed to do this work on this amazing, beautiful property here on High Street. So as you are preparing your gift, I invite you to hold it, and let's know and affirm and pray together our prayer of prosperity, which begins. Through a grateful, giving heart, my mind and life overflow with the abundance of God's all-providing, infinite supply. And so it is. Namaste. I'd like to give thanks for our small and mighty crew today. Kurt on sound, our music. He's making a lot of beautiful sound. Coco on sound in the back there. And our video talent, stage director, set designer, videographer, and so many things, Emily Goss. And thank you, our beautiful Mary, for making this all possible today. She's, even though she's beyond our sight, she's still making things happen. Isn't that beautiful? I've got just a few announcements today. Our flowers right here are donated by Kathleen and Coco. Thank you very much. And there is a flower sign-up sheet in the back. If you'd like to bring flowers some Sunday morning, we'd love to have them up here to honor us and bless us and beautify our sanctuary. And there's a sign-up sheet in the back. And next week, my talk is titled Finding Beauty Among Our Warts. And it's healing ourselves and the world with Ho'oponopono. And this is going to be the first of four talk series based on Ho'oponopono. And each of the talks will be talking about how can we take a step in this Ho'oponopono process and incorporate it in our lives so that we can live healthy, happy, and connected lives and live harmonious lives with ourselves, our spirit, and our family. I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, you don't have to dress up as a king or have warts on your face when you come. Oh, and if you, by the way, you know, all of our services from now on will be limited to, or for a while, will be limited to 20 people. And there's a sign-up sheet in the back, so you are some of the first that will have that availability to do that. And we are asking, of course, in the future for safe distancing and masks to be worn, much like today. We are raising money for a shuttle right now. We've raised $6,000. Our goal is $10,000. So thank you all for contributing to that. Because I'm envisioning that before too long, we're going to be back in our fullness, back in the sanctuary on Sunday morning. And we're going to want to park down the street so that new people and people with challenges can park on our property. So we see that happening really soon. No more Zoom Sunday mornings. It's all Facebook Live now. Hello out there in Facebook land. We're streaming live at 9:30. It'll be 10 o'clock next week. So you can watch us there if you just can't get up. That second cup of coffee doesn't get you here in the morning. You can watch it from the comfort of your couch. However, it's a lot more fun to be here, isn't it? And we have many services on our YouTube page from the past, and much music from this amazing man and other musicians. And I recently posted a Ho'oponopono meditation up there that I think you'll enjoy. All right, so I'd like to read a poem that Mary wrote titled Child of Light as our benediction today. Child of light, I think of you. I pray with you. Not for what I think you are to do or be. I lift my thoughts about you. I see you as God sees you. I see you filled with light and love and happiness. I see you making wise and good decisions. I see you enjoying everything that's good in your life. I see you living in the consciousness of more than enough. I see you healthy, strong, and doing the work you love. Every good and noble dream in your heart is being realized. So Mary, we don't say goodbye to you. Rather, we say Godspeed on your journey. And I invite you to pray with me the prayer for protection, which begins, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. And the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. And so it is. God bless, mahalo, and aloha.
Where I live, there are rain.